Char.
Oh, joy.
All right, we will go ahead and call this meeting to order. If I could get a roll call, please.
Sure. Mishevitz, Miller, Allen.
Here.
Minders.
Yes.
Reuter.
Here.
Manthe.
Here.
We have a quorum. If we could rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. I have no remarks today. Any trustees want to say anything?
Do we have agendas out?
No, but we have them on the screen, I think.
Oh, okay, well,
I have nothing else to show, so.
all right.
Go with that. All right, public comments. Anything from your Graham outside of the agenda items?
No, sir, we're glad to be here.
Tracy? Okay. All right, then we'll jump right into it. So IEPA Public Water Supply Loan Application.
Yes, I'm up. Okay.
Yeah,
Anybody care if I stand?
no, go
All
ahead.
right. So, if you want to do them all individually, or we can do them as a group, it's dependent upon what you guys want to do.
Whatever easier for you.
I'm fine with doing them all together, unless somebody here is opposed. We're here tonight. Obviously, everybody knows that we've designed the Market Street water main replacement, the section that's been having breaks for, the last 14, 15 years at least. We're trying to get the village in line to get bypass funding here in fiscal year, what they call 26. So, if we can get all of the elements in place, which these 4 items are elements that we need to get structured in place with EPA to say we're 100% ready to go. Our design's done. We already have permitting done. Now, if the village passes the loan application submittal, we like to get this formally on the record. It shows that the village is behind it. And then the authorizing ordinance, which allows you to borrow the money, and we set it at $1 million for this project, which we know is high, but you want to have some cushion in case something unique happens that we have to add extra money, similar to what happened up at the well house, right? We don't want to be right to the very penny. So we agree that number is high, but in the real scheme of EPA loans and projects, it's not a big number in their project portfolio. So what our hope is every year, many projects get listed on the intended funding use plan. And as the year goes on, some of those projects go to construction and some of them drop out, and then their money becomes available to other projects. So we're hoping that some of that money that's been allocated to another village, because we were like 7 projects down from making the cut, will drop off, which will move us up. And the odds are, there used to be a list that, they went to, let's say 51, 52, whatever to get up. They don't do that anymore. It's kind of a first come, first served basis. So we want to get all our stuff in. We want to get it to the project manager from EPA and say, we're 100% ready to go. If any funds become available, we're ready to take them and get this project built. There's no guarantees that will happen. And as you see, if you look at the contracts that we wrote today, if it doesn't happen, our contracts are nothing, right? We wrote right in there, it's all dependent on you being able to secure the money. So we're just going through the process steps and checking the boxes for each one of them to make sure we're as far as we could possibly be done. We're not asking for any more funds tonight. To be clear, you're paying us for the project in progress as we go along. So the water loan application was already part of the process. This is just a formal approval to say the village is behind it, the village council's behind it, and we want to move forward with that application.
Haven't we done this once already?
We did not formally do that.
And how were we ever in the circle to get the money?
You don't fill out the application until you're on the intended funding list, unless you're going, right? We didn't make the list last year. We were just below the cutoff, and we went up a handful of projects before or this year than last year. So So we want a formal approval for that, for the village president to sign. We want him to be able to sign the tax certificate form and then the EPA form 5700 that is basically a disbarment that says he's eligible to borrow the money. And then an authorizing ordinance up to $1 million for the project. That would include the design money, that would include the construction engineering money and the construction cost. And then Mr. Myers, as your attorney, after this is all done, doesn't have to happen tonight, but he'll have to write a letter saying that the village of Shannon knows what they're doing, knows what they're getting into, and is able to borrow the money based on the council approval. So we did the same process when we went through the well house project and water main projects that, just have to have attorney's opinion that you're solvent enough to know what you're doing, basically. So with that, I will entertain any questions you have. We've been through the process before here. Some of the council members are new. In order to receive state revolving funds, this is the process that you have to go through. Now, two things could happen. We get the money and we build it. We get the money offered and maybe there's no forgiveness with it. We don't know if there will be or not. If that happens, that's great. If not, you'll have a choice whether you want to accept it or not. This isn't binding anybody to anything. One of the project constraints that I want to just put on the record is IDOT is planning to repave Market Street. I believe it's on the schedule for next year. It could push.
I thought it was 2027.
Excuse me, 2027 is correct.
Okay.
So we have opportunity to get the water main done. They'd like to see it done in advance of that project on our own. And if we don't move forward in that fashion, there'll be additional costs that come through it with IDOT that will drive the project costs up. We have everything outlined in the plan with one exception right now, and we're working with IDOT on that. They gave us approval to go ahead to a bid, but we're still working out what we need to do over the creek down there where we're going to put the water main, because that kind of little homemade bridge, we've got to figure out what the resolution is for that. We don't want to go to a full-born park bridge because those get really, really expensive. So we're trying to go with culvert tubes and some type of bridge apparatus across that. So that's the one piece that we have yet to figure out. Other than that, we're ready to go with approval from the council tonight.
Are we required to put in a sidewalk?
We are required to put sidewalk back that we rip out.
You are or we are?
The villages, as part of the project constraints. So again,
Who sets these rules?
IDOT requires anytime they do road upgrades to relocate the utilities out of their right of way, right? They no longer permit them. They'll let you cross if you have to, but they don't want them directly under the road because they realize how many times we've dug up Market Street. It's way cheaper to dig up some sidewalk.
So this is actually gonna put the water mains under the sidewalk there?
Yes, we're planning on pushing it out to the edge of the right of way, not under the road. So when they come and do the resurfacing, we don't have to deal with that. And obviously we shouldn't have brake issues moving forward, but that was the whole intent of the plan.
The original discussion was moving the sidewalk onto Arch Street and get them off the highway.
I have one question. If they were to sign this tonight, when would they, would you know immediately or would it take a couple weeks or months?
I would say that you will not get a decision probably until, I'm gonna say February, before we'll know. But we get in line, if a lot of projects were to drop off, so usually in December, they start sending letters out to people that, already have been on that top list saying, are you going forward or are you not? And then they get a rationalization whether they're gonna have available funds. They're like no other, or any other budget. They wanna spend their entire budget for the year. They don't wanna have money left over. So they're always looking for places to fill gaps with funding because they don't wanna drag it to the next year because, funding's never good not to use your funding. They start cutting budgets. So, I think this project, because we're not talking about a substantial money in EPA terms, I know it is to the village of Shannon. It's one of those projects that, hey, we've got $1 million left. Let's plug this hole and get that project done. That's why I think it lines up good for them. Again, there's no 100% guarantees. That everything that we do here tonight, though, would not hurt us if you didn't get in bypass and we just that project plan was good for 5 years, so it'll just roll to the next year and maybe we'll see if we come up on the intended funding list. But nothing tonight would lock you into anything or would not let it go to next year if that's what has to happen.
So if we do this and we get allocated funds, you had mentioned earlier, we would wait to see if any of it's forgivable. So is that the difference between? So I guess my question is, I don't understand why if you were on the original list and you are selected as your project selected originally, and then part of that could potentially be forgivable. But if you get the overflow funding, same money, same pool of money, but then that could potentially not be forgivable and we could be on the hook for repayment.
And so let me explain that to you. So usually the projects that get significant forgiveness don't drop off, right? They're ready to go. And when they get, let's say they have a $10 million project and they're getting $3 million, they're not going to lose that money. So they usually go to construction. The ones that usually drop off are the ones where they call their funding exhausted, which means that there was no more forgiveness left. So they're usually the bottom tier of 20% of accounts that they had enough money to fund the project, but they didn't have any forgivable funds left. That's usually what goes to bypass. Not always. Sometimes other projects have issues where they just can't get to bid in time. And so if they have attached funding to that, sometimes they've stripped that off and give it to other communities. We've had it happen for other clients. It's just, it's a coin toss whether it will happen that way or not. So I will also tell you when we did the well house and the water towers, those funds at that time were not, the world wasn't in the water situation and the sewer and infrastructure situation that is now. A lot of communities have aging infrastructure and the demand on that money is becoming greater and greater and greater because what we see in the industry is the CDBG grants and these types of things that used to be able to be avenues, all those grant programs have shrunk down or the rules are not advantageous to people getting them for water or sewer quick projects like they used to be. So the funding in general has slowed down. And I'm sure you guys see the news in the papers and social media, everybody around's having to do water and sewer work and there's just not enough available funds right now. And the project costs since COVID have skyrocketed for water and sewer. They're leading the industry in consumer price index increases, just of material goods, tariffs, things like that are all adding pressure to those costs. Labor and wages also. So, good question though.
For our viewers at home, we've talked about $1 million. However, though we've never talked about spending $1 million. What is the current cost
The current cost of this
of
project?
that project?
So, I believe you have all in, the construction, I'm gonna say it's gonna be between $500,000 and $600,000. Legitimately, that's where I think it costs out at. I believe you had about 100,000 in construction engineering at the end, and I believe you had around 70,000, I think, in concept and design engineering. And of course, there's a buffer in there, obviously, but we don't anticipate it being close to $1 million. And again, a debt ordinance only says.
I'm not saying, I'm just eliminating the, oh my God, we're gonna spend $1 million.
No, it just
Not
sets the
from this
limit of what you could spend up to, right? So let's say we went to bid. And you can always back out of bids as well. So you went to a bid and you had one bidder and that person bid $800,000 for the work and you guys decided, hey, that's just too much for the work, we're not gonna do it. You can still back out at that point too. There is no stopping. You already have a significant investment. And I've had a few questions, I believe, from Ryan and maybe Perry as well. So what's plan B if this doesn't work?
Yeah, this is gonna be my next question.
Yeah, right now, to be honest with you, and we're looking for funds all the time. There really isn't a plan B right now that has funds available unless you're gonna go to a local bank and borrow that money, which would be at a higher interest rate. Obviously, we did that exercise when we did the well house and we researched bonds. We researched local financing. We did the whole gamut, and nobody can touch the SRF funds because they're usually lending them out at 2% or 2.5% or less. So nobody can touch them, even the local banks. But it is an option if you have to move forward. At some point here, IDOT, and we could tell them, even if we don't get it next year, like, hey, we'd like you to push Market Street another year. We're not ready for it. That's a conversation we can have with them, but that's not good for your community, right? It's your heaviest used street in town.
They're
So
not ready either.
they're not ready now, and their schedule has been pushing. But I know this is a priority project for them too. So, and the other cost is, what's the cost of not doing it? How much money have we already spent on brakes on that
If we
street?
went to the bank and borrowed the money the first time we talked about this, we'd have it almost paid off.
Yeah. So, the other thing I wanted to point out, because we've never really talked about that, one of the reasons that you're having so much issues with the Market Street water main is because of the old railroad tracks. It's very prevalent in the industry that any water main pipe that was installed and surrounded around old railroad tracks, the cinders and that stuff is corrosive material, it eats it out, and usually starts leaving pit deposits on it. And I know for a fact the last large break we have out there, that's exactly what the main looked like when we unearthed it. And I think we put in a 20-foot replacement at that time, trying to bridge some of it. So, again, I wish I had better news and there was more funding. Funding seems to be shrinking at the moment, especially, we're under the shutdown and everything. Pretty much everything's frozen at the moment. Again, we'd like to get in line, kind of roll the dice. There's no cost to you at this point other than giving the village president permission to sign this, move forward, and then we see what happens come, let's say, February or March, whether the bypass funding, and then we can be ready to go quickly to bid.
You need one motion or two.
I still have questions.
Oh, hurry up. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest problem is we don't have much of a choice, is how I see it and how I take
Oh, no,
it.
we have a choice. We don't have to do it.
Well,
So-
that's true, but then we'll be ripping up Market Street in 2 years.
So there's basically no reapplying, right? Because you said we're on that list for 5 years.
Yeah, so I believe last year was our first year. This will be our second year, and we can go up to 5 years before we have to write a new project plan to get back into the program, right? So they basically let everybody in for 5 years of a project plan, and you can do as many projects as you want, but then after 5 years, you have to renew that plan.
Problem is, this project doesn't affect enough people,
Right. Which
is Shannon's problem with every
population.
project we've ever done. I mean, mind you, we didn't qualify for forgiveness for the project with the water tower, and that affected the whole dang town.
So if we don't get forgiveness, it's generally a 30-year loan, or what is that?
It's a loan, however we decide to make it.
Right.
It's exchange.
here.
20 is the term for this type of loan, because it's not
Is this like a form ordinance that they've come up with to require? Because I mean, you read through it, it kind of, I would say, mixes metaphors. Almost on one hand, it talks about it as a loan, but then on the other hand, it's asking you a lot of stuff that you usually do if you're issuing bonds, and we're not issuing any bonds here.
No, the state and federal government issue bonds for that money.
Okay, so they're making us parrot some of that money. Okay.
Correct. Yep.
And just
Ask your question.
the cost, if we were to approve this and ultimately we take out $1 million and we don't give any forgiveness whatsoever, is $6 per user.
Correct.
That was my question.
That would be if we took the full million.
That's if you took the full million, yes. And the other,
$6 per user per month until the loan is paid off, right?
Correct.
20 years.
and there's no penalty for paying it off early too. So if you decided to use some reserves or something like that to pay it off early, you absolutely could do that. This, and I don't want to get on a soapbox tonight, but this shows you how important your rate structure is to the village utility. This won't be the last water main that needs to be replaced in town. This won't be the last issue that you have to deal with, right? I know it's the biggest one at this time, but it does show you how important the rate structure is to be sustainable for the community, because these projects are very expensive. And I just want to repeat, this isn't unique to Shannon, Illinois. If you watch the news, or you can come right around with us, this is every community that's having these type of issues. Roads and water and sewer are some of the largest cost items that are out there right now, and nobody's really prepared for those costs. And the people that have really large capital improvement fees that they're putting that money away to do the projects. So
The problem with Shannon is that this is Kyle's position that I take it, I'm starting to come around to it, is for decades, our water prices were some of the lowest in the region. We just had a discussion with 7 municipalities and out of those 7, we're the second highest. You add this, we're still not gonna overtake Mount Carroll yet, but we're getting close, so there's almost no room for capital
Yes.
improvement fees at this point.
Yeah.
Because of all the loans that we now have to take out, so if something does come up.
Get the honor and privilege of paying for it.
When will you know, the cost of the bridge?
I'm trying to get IDOT to give us some confirmation on that, Butch, but I did put a factor in for what I think should be approved, which is the culvert instead of the park bridge stuff.
Don't they have to replace the culvert under the road?
Yeah.
That's what I mean. They're not ready to lay blacktop
No,
by any means.
no, but
They
they're,
put a Band-Aid on that.
2027 is the project limit, right? So they've got some time.
True. But my question is, when you're putting in a culvert, why would we put in a wider one and take care of the sidewalk?
Because they won't want the sidewalk that close to the road.
I understand that. But my question is, can we fund the extra width of the said two?
Be way more than what we would want to do. Significantly more.
It'd be cheaper to not have a sidewalk.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I agree with what you're saying about utility rates, and so I'll give you an equivalent of what the guidance is from EPA, and they're even changing this. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but if you do the research, they're saying that the median household income, 3% should be distributed for water and 3% for sewer. That's the value of those utilities. So unless you're pushing the 3% median household income for limits, they would suggest that you probably are not at your max charging rates, and that's what they're seeing. We had that discussion when I first came here. I mean, I think you guys were around, $22 a month for water and sewer, and it was, everybody thought at that time that the cities and utilities were doing the right thing, keeping costs low for residents, but at that time, they didn't put any money away for capital improvement of any nature, and that's all catching up. So one of my clients said it eloquently, we're paying for the sins of yesterday and today all at once because it's all catching up with us.
that sounds like something I've said in the past.
And no board wants to be the bad guy who sends the rates through the roof.
Right.
So,
Yep.
you know,
It's a hard position.
Any other questions?
Do you need one motion or two?
I think just one will capture everything, have me sign all applicable paperwork and
I move we
ordinances, whatever.
It's ordinance number 449.
Pass ordinance 449, authorizing Ryan and Fairgram to move forward with the EPA paperwork. IEPA paperwork, excuse me.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And then a roll call. Allen,
Yes.
Minders,
Yes.
Reuter,
Yes.
Manthe.
yes.
Threw me a curveball, could have voted against it.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Nope.
Darren, while I'm signing this, do you want to talk about the surf?
Yeah, sure, I'd be glad to. So, Surf Internet, as I'll call them, has been working in the Fairgram area for months now. I've been working with them in Freeport. Lanark and Shannon both reached out to me and asked me if I had any experience with them, which I've had a lot.
Good or bad?
Both. I will tell you, on the design and permitting process, they've been pretty good.
Follow through, not so much?
It depends on the contractor,
Thank you, sir.
that they bring in, right? Because they don't actually have their own contractors. They hire contractors out, and sometimes those contractors get rammy-pammy and they do a lot of collateral damage in the community. So you want to have the permitting process tight so you can hold them responsible for any damages. As the public works director in Freeport, we review and approve all the permits, and then there's language in those permits that hold them accountable for the actions. And we don't go out and view them every day, but we know where they're working. They send in the Julies. And then we have somebody like in Bodie's position that's checking on them and making sure that collateral damage is getting cleaned up, because there will be some. They're gonna hit some sewer services. They're gonna probably poke through some mains. They're probably gonna hit some water lines because Shannon doesn't have all that stuff identified. And so there will be collateral damage. It's just part of the internet process, bringing that lower cost internet to the community. So
They sold it to us as they were only gonna be what, 18 inches in the ground?
18 to 36. I think.
yeah.
Oh, all right,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So we would suggest.
Darren, I want to interrupt you just for
Sure.
a second. It's saying signature and stamp / seal. Can we just stamp it, or do you need a notary public?
If you guys do it, we have notary. So,
You watching me sign it right here?
yes, sir. And then you can just stamp it with
Want me to do
with
that
I'll
Denise's
just have
stamp.
you stamp it as well.
on this?
It's all on video right now.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, so back to Surf. So Surf is committed to coming to Shannon, Leonard, Bodie, and Jason Alvarado both reached out to me and asked me about this experience and asked me if we could help with the permitting process, which that's what the agreement is tonight. Surf is 100% reimbursing Shannon and Leonard for the review fees, which I believe we already got a check for the first one, and there's only one more packet for Shannon that we were working on today. And so this agreement just formalizes that Surf pays you because they're working for Shannon, and you're going to pay us for the review time that we have into it. I didn't put any support time in it, but obviously we'll support you if you ever start running into issues with design. I know they want to get going to construction as soon as possible until we have approved permits. I didn't want to give anybody that permission.
I know we updated the ordinance maybe a year ago, tops, so it might not be updated in the code yet, but
Which ordinance?
the ordinance regarding excavating and getting a permit and
Permits.
Right. We put a lot of our, since I've been doing this for a while, we put a lot of our safety and protection language into the permit reviews to make sure that if anything were to go south, Kip would have some legs to stand on to, be honest with you, we haven't had any issues with them once we identified a problem and said, you're gonna fix this. Surf has stood behind it.
Is there a timeline? Is there a limited time? I mean, if we don't find out there's a problem for 2 months after they've left and then does
No,
that make sense?
no, I have a situation with a different fiber company that hit a line 5 years ago and we just discovered it during cleaning, so
Perfect.
they own that, what's in the
Perfect.
ground, so, sometimes you gotta get a little tough with them,
Yeah.
but they usually come through.
Perfect.
Right, and if they hit something, we just need to know. Like,
Well, like
they're
I
not gonna fix it. We're gonna have fishers come and.
Yeah,
and clean
I mean, a
it.
sewer line you may not find for
And they're 100% liable.
a while.
they're
Yeah.
only going 36 inches, they shouldn't get anywhere near a sewer line.
Services and
Services
storms,
maybe.
we've had quite a few lines. I was just up in Warren, so we suggest that they go at least 30 inches under streets. And that's what we usually put in the permit reviews, because if you reconstruct a street, if it has soft soils, you're usually down, close to 24, 28 inches sometimes. And so we've been running into problems where they're not deep enough in towns. So that's what our suggestion has been, to go a little bit deeper. And that hasn't been an issue, but we've had storms and service issues and water boxes that have been hit, to be honest with you. The other thing, you're gonna wanna do as a community is you're gonna wanna have a little bit of control. First of all, Bodie's only one guy. He can't Julie everything in town overnight, and they're gonna wanna bring in 2 or 3 crews and pound this out in no time flat. So you gotta control that a little bit. I only have 1 crew working in Freeport because we can't handle it. They'll call in 50 Julies at a time. It's a lot to take over, and by and large, if you set a strong tone with them, they'll do a good job, but there will be problems with that.
Do we need to look into better locating equipment for you?
That would be a bad idea.
Well,
I mean, I help Jason, Jason will come and help, I mean, he'll.
But I mean, we've talked about updating that equipment in the past, we just never.
But if they're doing land art too, he's gonna be busy over there.
Yeah,
I know, like with Jason, they have like their own locating and, I mean, he sends Brett out, which, I mean, Perry could be doing that. I mean, she could be finding all the service lines, or 90% of them, or 80% of them, or whatever, you know, if they're,
So I will
cause I have no idea where a lot.
question on that. With the water projects that we've done in town, a lot of Shannon was built with what they call ag poly. So it's an odd sized water line that was used for agricultural industry, and they didn't use tracer wires on them. So they're very hard to find. And you guys only have water main on like every
Every
opposite
other
street. So they're running cross lot through people's property that don't even have easements for them. So it's very, very difficult to find them. And so the only reason I'm saying that is there is no way they're gonna pull off a project without hitting some of those stuff, because there's no way that people will be able to identify it.
Yeah, I mean, we located, I've had like Brinkmeyer's locate something, and I mean, it's literally a block away. The shut off is a block away. Like we're going, it's like,
block is easy.
there's no way it can be this far, and it's like,
There's
oh
a
yeah, it's
couple-
in your neighbor's yard, a
There's a
block
couple
away.
that's 2 blocks, so don't, yeah, that blocking.
I do have a
That's what we-
question, just to make sure I had it straight for the minutes.
Well, I wouldn't know.
So,
I mean,
surf
you do certain
internet, you
distance,
guys are
but
doing the
you
permit
consider
review, and then.
a water
surface
main just
reimbursement
by the
costs
length
for
of
what
it.
we're paying you, do I have that right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
just want to make sure I understood it correct.
That is the arrangement that Bodie and Jason both asked me to do with them, and they agreed to it. So I believe the first permit review was $1,000, and then the second one will be the same, and so they'll be, I think they already sent you a check for $1,000.
Yes, they
Yeah.
did, because we were questioning what was this money for, so yes.
Right. I left you in the email chain of, we should really send them an invoice for it, so they have that, but it was for the permit review.
Okay, thank you.
Are we looking for a motion to approve the surf internet permit?
Yes.
I move we approve the surf internet permit.
Second.
All right, and then roll call on approval of the surf internet permits. Alan,
Yes.
Minders, Peter,
Yes.
Manfred.
Yes.
Dan, the only thing on the documents I signed is it wants us the date of when we publish it. Obviously, we don't know that yet.
I saw the sign on the planner. I was
You're gonna take care of it?
disgusted with, tired of meeting.
Are you putting me or
Tom,
Devin?
called it
Did you
the
plan on putting it
the
somewhere
customer
else?
service people plan.
No,
Where's the-
whatever you want.
Yeah, what are your signs?
And I
A
think
block away from my house
everything I
saying that
wanted
it's
from
coming
me.
soon. I wanna be, I wanna,
Was there
I wanna know what it's
anything for
gonna
the
cost.
certain
and I'm
permits
interested
that
in
I had
signing up.
signed?
I sent you
Portions in,
I did see that.
And you can just sign. it.
Partially already
Scan it back to
constructed.
us.
so
I think it's just
About a year
super cheap
ago.
internet, the surf, isn't it?
before we go any farther, if everybody watched Matt Miller walk in and hand this to me, this is the used flat bottom boat that we sold. He got it sold. So here's the money that he got for the old flat bottom boat from the sewer plant.
Oh, the trailer?
Sounds good. Thank you. I'll give that to the clerk. All right, anything else you need from us, Darren?
I don't believe so.
Well, thanks for working with our schedule. I don't think you wanted to be here at the last meeting. It was 5 hours long. so.
Yeah, no, that,
He's
thank
been
you
here for
for,
those.
thank you for that. Appreciate that. All right, if you guys don't have anything else for us, we'll get out of your hair.
No, I'll get you the surf permits, my signature on it, tomorrow.
That's just
probably.
fine.
Then I'll be in touch with you, because we have to have a meeting, right?
Yeah, I didn't want
Tim.
to schedule that until it's all ready to go. Yep.
Yeah, we'll be in touch.
Do you have a recommendation of what he should be looking for locating equipment? Thank you.
I would go with, in my opinion, I would go with similar equipment
Just
that what
tell him.
Lanark has. They got it from J&R Supply. We helped them get it from there. They have some varieties, but they picked, wasn't just above the medium grade, and I think that's sufficient for what Lanark has. The other thing that would be great about that is that unit has some locating ability to it. So as you find them, you can actually store it, and then it can walk you right back to that spot. So if you start kind of building it out.
Is
as
that
you
like
find stuff.
downloadable then?
I think it's like a
That
mapping
helps.
system.
It's a mapping system.
That
what
helps.
maps.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So that way, once you find, say, the one at your house, then he
Good
can
luck.
GPS it and locate it, and then he can put your name or address on it, and he can walk right back to that, and the machine will walk him right back to it again. I think that's some value. they're expensive.
Like, welcome to life.
I wanna say, I think Shannon spent, pretty close to 10 grand on it,
Lanark, you mean?
or Lanner, excuse me.
I say we've already spent it.
Yeah. Those units are only as good as, the technology that's with them, right? So you don't wanna go cheap, otherwise you might as well just go with the show instead. But again, your biggest issue or enemy is gonna be the yard poly, because, every time he finds one, he should be locating that permanently, because they're really hard to find back.
I guess get a price and we'll put it in for the appropriations for the coming year.
All right.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
your time.
Thanks, Darren.
Are you gonna need it before the coming year? If
Yeah,
we're doing this whole thing?
Maybe
with
it's next month. on the agenda.
Yeah, I can price one out. I can talk to
Nice.
No, I know, I'm just saying.
I know what the reality is, but I just try.
But yeah, they have like a mapping system, they can store it and then it's on a map.
Yeah, obviously, if you can get landmarks in the meantime, that'd be great.
Yeah.
All right, number 4, the CGG reached out to me. They are combining with the trunk or treats from the churches, and they asked for the road to be closed on Hickory Street from, what are those roads? Is it Row and South? Is that what it is? Row and South.
Just one block.
Yeah, for 3 hours, just during trick or treat. Well, the Boo Bash is probably going later until it.
4:30 to 8.
4:30 to 8, have that road closed so the trunks, I guess, not the treaters necessarily, but the cars can get parked by the village park.
Oh, so you're doing the trunk or treat at the village park this year on Hickory Street instead of at the church?
So they're just looking for us, a resolution, so we can close that road from 4:30 to 8:30.
So instead of being in the parking lot, they want to be on the road?
So,
From my house to the
South
church.
Street.
Road to South Street.
I'm confused. It's for,
Bradshaw,
not South.
Oh, Bradshaw, okay.
it's for parking or to actually have the event on the street?
Just for the 8 or so cars that are going to be doing the trucks
Road
and treats. So
Bradshaw.
they're gonna back
Bradshaw, I don't suppose.
back
No,
into
one far,
park.
one too far.
Oh, on the east side there.
Yep.
Yeah.
I did provide a photo. I don't know if you want to pull that up.
Oh.
In my letter, there's a photo.
No, I
of
didn't,
aerials.
I didn't understand if they wanted it for parking or the actual.
No,
The
Just
church,
for the
just put a new
trucks.
parking lot in.
yeah, I know. We're excited about the opportunity because it'll be safer for the kids. Just and also be in one centralized location. So we think we'll both get a little bit more activity. Another option was also just doing half, like half open to allow access to the houses. Oh yeah, there it is. My car is in the picture on the right. That's what the cars will be doing, parked with their backs, the ends to the
sidewalk.
So I'm just looking for a resolution to close that during 4:30 to 8:30 on Halloween. If I can get it first.
How are we going to close it and how are we going to enforce that it's closed?
I mean, we'll just put up some road signs. Can we get them to the park
Closing will be
before?
nobody's problem.
You probably need more than a road sign. Do you have barricades?
Yeah, I got the barricades that we use.
yeah.
I mean, people go around the barricades for homecoming weekend, so what's this?
So
We can tape it up.
I have a dumb question. If you're worried about somebody going around it, put it on the side street instead of the main street.
Yeah, we could maybe put it on Bradshaw. Would that make more sense
mean,
on like the,
I'm asking, not telling.
instead of north and south?
Instead
and
of
east
doing
and
the,
west?
one of the main streets, do it side street.
Like on East Bradshaw, kind of by Bill Rosemeyer.
Does that make sense?
Is that the,
So right
is that
here.
the,
That would be
exit
the,
there?
yeah,
That would be this street right here.
that might
That
be
would be
better
an
because
option
there's
as well.
less
It would just be
homes on that.
Then there would be a lot, there
If
would
we could
be,
do it here, that would be great, because we usually have our activity right on this quadrant.
I mean, that would
So if we did
eliminate
there-
Yeah,
all of the traffic issues. I mean,
Right, South Hickory, I mean, it's a
one
high
that's
travel
less,
road.
less of a span, right? And there's only a couple of houses.
Right,
yeah.
Versus like
There's-
4 or 5 here, there's only like 2 or
That
3
work?
here.
And let's be honest, if we would talk to Bill and the people who live on the corner, we could eliminate every piece of aggravation ahead of time.
Yeah.
Hey, do you mind parking around the corner for
Right.
3 hours?
Right.
I would be more, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
is Bradshaw all right with you?
Works great, yeah, sure.
Okay,
I
so
would,
it's Bradshaw from
I mean, I
what
can
to
move
what?
that.
Hickory to
Chestnut.
Hickory to Chestnut.
Dumpster too, so then you get more parking, cause there's usually a dumpster right here. We'll just
True,
move
that'd
that
be good.
out of the way.
Yeah, that'd be good. And then we'll just kind of pick that corner or stay close to everything.
yeah, as long as, yeah. That's-
Not
you
many
wouldn't have to
people
worry about-
travel on that road anyway, so
Wouldn't
I
have to
think
worry
that
about
Yeah,
that would be
that would be
easier
a lot
for
less
people to stay off of.
aggravating.
Cause I know people will, I mean,
I can bring
I live on
barricades and
Hickory
stuff up,
Street,
though.
so there are, that night. there
Well,
are
and again, it's
people-
only two homes
Lots
that
of
we're
vehicles
blocking
on
off and
that,
not like maybe
on that
four.
street.
I can just take the barricades up a little bit before and.
But just making it a side street makes it so much easier.
Right.
It eliminates the
Yeah.
traffic
Yeah, that'll be good.
issue.
Sounds good.
So I so moved to use Bradshaw between Chestnut and Hickory.
Okay.
To close it
Yes,
To
from-
close it.
4:30 to 8:30.
4:30 to 8 on October 31st.
yes.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second,
And then roll call. Allen,
yes.
Minders,
Yes.
Gruder,
Yes.
Manthe.
yes.
She goes in order. I like that.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Tracy. Law enforcement, I put this back on just because I wanted to give some updates on a few things. The first is interim police chief. I did reach out to Mr. Metzger, who is our part-time officer. He is in training to be promoted in Mount Carroll. He will do it, but he can't promise any number of hours, or really, he doesn't know what his schedule is gonna look like for the next few months. So I said, I'll get back to him. Don't know if the board wants me to explore other options. I did start reaching out to some local contacts in Freeport, but haven't had any bites for that position yet. So, I
Well,
guess
as long as, I mean, if he is able to give us any amount of time to be able to have a police chief interim in place so that we can have our part-time officers work and we have someone who can file the paperwork. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought that I think they can work without a chief, but you need the chief to file the paperwork.
or I take the
Or you
chief's
take
role.
it on, yeah.
Right.
So if he is willing to take on the role without saying, well, we need you for 20 hours, I mean, if it's 5 hours one week and 10 hours one week, as long as we have him in name as the person who's in charge.
Yeah.
And can file the paperwork so that our part-time officers can pick up their hours, I don't see a problem with
And
that.
and that was my thought. I just wanted to bring it to the board before I,
Because it's more about having the ability to have our part-time officers be able to work.
correct. All right, as long as the board's okay with that, it already gave me approval. I just wanted to bring that to the board's attention. The next was, the sheriff's offer. I did reach out to him and submit a counter offer, which I think, lessens the pain that a lot of the board felt with the initial offer. The initial offer again was $100,000 a year, 21 hours a week minimum-ish, that wouldn't be written in, but the idea was
That math was based on 3,
3 8-hour shifts.
except they work 2 12-hour shifts.
Well,
So
But maybe three people though, if you do
It will
three
not,
people each day, it would turn into 21.
it will not be 21 hours.
Well, I'm the same, it's three.
The
per
sheriff said
day.
once every 8 hours, so however you want to do that, it equals 21. That was the initial offer, it's changed anyway, because I went to him with the board's comments. So it was 100,000 a year, 21 hours, a rotating cast of deputies, things of that nature. I brought to him and he wanted all our equipment. So the new counter offer I gave him, that he's gonna bring, he sounded agreeable to it, was 30 hours a week minimum. And I told him that we like the school resource officer model where we have a assigned deputy. He's not opposed to that, though he is hesitant to think of any deputy who would want to be the Shannon deputy. Now, of course, there might be someone who wants that role. There might be someone who wants to apply and get that role, but he's not opposed to an assigned single deputy, 30 hours a week. As to the equipment, we don't have to give it to him. It would be, the county can use it for free while the contract is ongoing. If the contract ever ceases or it's ever not renewed, all the equipment would be returned to Shannon. So 30 hours a week, an assigned deputy maybe, or a rotating cast of a number of deputies, much longer stints of time, not 1 hour every 8 hours, be 4 hours here, 4 hours there, minimum 30 hours a week, which would be reported. They talked about quarterly reporting for the number of hours, who worked, how many tickets, things of that nature. So once every 3 months, we'd get a larger report. No equipment would be given to the county. It would be leased to them for free, returned if this agreement ever ended. it's still $100,000 a year. So I think that at least the board's major concerns that new offer tries to address.
Still $100,000.
Well, you gotta remember
Well,
how much we're currently spending.
what I talked to another county and, their county goes through all of their little towns at about that same rate, and they'll charge them a dime. So I'm still of the opinion, I don't think we should have to pay for to become part of Carroll County.
I think the deputy being one municipality for 30 hours a week is well beyond what.
Oh, I agree. No, I agree. But the original, you know, you're gonna show up
hour
in
shift.
here once or twice a shift.
Well,
You
that's
know,
changed, so we don't have to consider that offer. But the thing to remember is we just had a full-time police chief. And if we get the new police chief, if we go that route, there are going to be a lot of office hours. There is 0 office hours with the deputy. They don't even want this office. They will be on the road 30 hours a week. There's no, let's be paperwork this deputy has to do. It all goes through the county. So even though 30 hours is less than 40 on paper, I imagine to be multiple times the amount of on the road time as we will have or did have. So that's something to keep in mind.
So the county would be responsible in essence for all of the reporting that a chief would have done.
Correct. There would be no Shannon Police Department, so there would be no, I assume, our liability and,
we would still have to have liability because we're contracting.
nope, it'll be through the county. So that's saved expenditures, everything. There will be no Shannon Police Department.
I understand there's no police department, but we are hiring them to act on our behalf, and we wouldn't have liability insurance?
No, because they still be a deputy first, and at 30 hours a week, that means they're also working for the county 10 hours a week. You know, that's kind of the pull for the county. We're giving them $100,000. They're taking on all these secondary expenses, and they also get a deputy for 10 hours a week on top of it. So
The other expense we would save, if I'm understanding it correctly, they would be an employee of the county, not of the city. And therefore, we would not be paying workers' comp and some of those other expenses that we currently do have.
correct.
Does anybody else in the group have any desire to have a chief or either a part-time, full-time, whatever?
I mean, my ultimate goal would be to have a full-time chief. That, whether that's realistic or not, I mean, that remains to be seen, but we have to have options to be able to have coverage if that is not a real option.
Well, I mean, if we want a full-time chief, we have to advertise for one.
Well, I think,
Correct.
I think at the last meeting, we told him to advertise for one.
But I mean,
Did we not?
don't we have a couple of people interested?
We do. And I just wanted to bring the board's attention to this new deal. Again, it hasn't been approved. This is the sheriff and I talking about where the board's comments were, where the original offer are, and where we can meet in the middle. And this is something we agreed to. And I think it solved a lot of the board's, big concerns. Now, whether you guys still want to go with that offer or find a full-time police chief, will be up to you. The big pull in my mind, whether it's a 3 or 4 year contract, Shannon has not had a police chief, correct me if I'm wrong, for 3 or 4 years since 2012.
You mean like consistently have one for 3 to 4
Consistently have one.
The
years?
same.
Because
police
with
chief.
this
Same
contract, we are guaranteeing police coverage for 3 to 4 years with a good faith requirement that we go back to the negotiating table in that 3 or 4 year span. So as far as actual consistent law enforcement coverage, this is the only guarantee for that. Now, of course, we get a police chief we love, who wants to be in Shannon, who lives close to Shannon. We can get one for 12 or 20 years. That would be the best case scenario, of course. And,
If that's what we want, we would have to act like we wanted them, if that makes any sense. I mean,
Well,
Yeah,
I don't think that exploring other options.
signing a 3 or 4 year contract with the county.
well, no,
It's not like
but
we're-
basically
no, it
doesn't
saying
sound like
that,
we're
yes, we
exploring any
wanna get applications for
We're not
chiefs, we
signing
wanna see
anything
who's
with,
out there
with the
for it.
county. At least, I mean, I'm only one person, but my mind is our first option 1A is to find a local police chief for the Shannon Police Department that is our employee, runs our department, and replaces the former chief. And we continue on that model. That is the ultimate goal. but we have to have plan B and C in case that can't happen, because we have to have coverage. So I'm not saying sign an agreement and then start looking for a chief. I'm saying we need to.
No, if we sign an agreement, we're
explore-
done.
Yeah, we
The
need
police
to
department is
explore
being-
what our options are.
The police department's being closed so we can save all this additional money.
In
Among other
addition, in
things.
addition to that, you have to remember that all of these years that we just talked about from 2012, it was the intention to have a local full-time police chief. That has not worked out.
Well, we've also.
So
not been
realistically,
hiring.
well, but
They
I'm
haven't
just
had
saying,
options
it
either.
was in good faith, that is what we were looking for and failed to achieve that over the course of 13 years. So that's just something to remember. I'm not saying it can't happen, but maybe,
A dozen years later, we're not any closer than we were in 2012.
correct.
That's,
One question I had with the discussion that you had with the county, when you said they would have access to all equipment, so would they want us to retain all equipment for them to use, or would we be able to sell off some equipment? Like, do they need 2 police vehicles from us, or can we sell those?
they're definitely interested in the new one for the new deputy, because they would be hiring a new deputy for this position.
But we don't need to keep the second one?
I didn't have that discussion.
No.
They would like access to all our current equipment. Now, they're only hiring one new deputy. Do they need our older squad car? Maybe not. That's a discussion. We haven't gone
Do
into
they
that.
want
much
to
detail.
then own it, or do they want us to?
No, we will own everything
Uh,
with this new agreement
Releasing it, we'd be leasing it them to
So
them
we
at
haven't
no
eliminated
charge.
anything.
at no charge.
The Dodge, we could use that right here. Bodie needs a truck for
Yeah, we do. We can make a tool truck out of that.
tool truck.
Put toolboxes on it.
I mean, again, in terms of money, the sheriff's agreement will be our best bet. And again, keep in mind that when we ultimately talk about this, probably in the next month, that is $100,000 all in. They take care of all maintenance, all our other costs will go down, and it's 30 hours of on the road time, less court and anything else. There's no office time in that 30 hours. Which is
Other
the
than
big
they
thing.
won't be taking care of any of the ordinances or any of that, so that will be an added expense.
That is correct. We have to solve that, though I think we need to have a bigger discussion on ordinance enforcement, regardless of which route we go. But yes, that
To
is,
where if we had a chief, we can have them do it. Whether they like it or not, it's part of their job. I'm sorry.
Ordinance.
There's parts of my job.
Ordinance
I don't-
enforcement, particularly nuisance stuff, the cop going and handing them a ticket is the smallest part of the equation cost wise.
yeah,
That's what we're talking about, is that handing the person the ordinance violation is the start of the process, and anyone can do that. It's what happens after that,
Right.
that is
right.
is problematic.
So that's just something to chew on. I'm not expecting everyone to agree on that tonight, but I think in November, my plan is to get the job posting for the chief up tomorrow. I had hoped to have that job description for you tonight. I didn't quite get that done. I'll send it out tomorrow for you guys to review, and I'll get that posted. The other thing is Lanark. I did reach out again to Mayor Rogan. It sounds like they will not be adding another officer next year. That was something they had talked about. Currently, as it stands, that might not be happening. They have 2 full-time officers. I can get added to next week's agenda if the board wants me to go over there, though I'm just unsure what I'll be asking for at this point. Whether if we go, obviously, if I know what we're doing, that makes it more definitive what I'm asking for. If we're going with the chief route, Kyle brought up, some cooperation of checking on the towns during downtime. That makes sense. But if we don't know we're going with the chief, I don't know if I quite want to go over there and talk about hypotheticals. The other option is I can go over there and ask for a contractual obligation like the sheriff's department with Lanark. I don't think they're too interested in that. And I don't know that, but I suspect they wouldn't be too interested in that. And I don't know if it would be any better than the sheriff's offer. I think the sheriff's offer is about as good as we're going to get for a contractual obligation. So I guess I'm looking for guidance, whether the board wants me to go to Lanark, and
The
if so,
sheriff's
what for.
I'm frustrated with the sheriff's department theory. And the reason I'm frustrated with it is we are fully funding it, and they act like we're doing them a favor.
Well, we save tons of expenses. I mean, that's the whole
Well,
idea of the school resource
understand- I
officer too. That they fully fund that deputy and get them 75% of the time, and the county gets them 25% of the time. That would be the
understand
same
that.
idea.
But there's no expense to the sheriff's department, and they act like we're doing this great favor, or they're doing us this great favor. It's like we're overpaying for an employee.
I don't know if I agree with that representation. I mean, the sheriff hasn't come here and talked to you about that. I mean, if you're getting that through my representations, that's because I think it's clear which way I'd like to go.
For
But be clear that my representations, I don't speak for the sheriff himself.
No,
The
I'm
deal
not saying you
aspects-
do. I'm not saying you do. But just look at the numbers they have with the school. Their SRO makes $75,000 a year. The school pays north of $100 for it.
So we're getting a better deal.
For $25,000, the honor and privilege of having this deal?
So we're getting a better deal than the school is then.
I don't know.
So just something to keep in mind. The last thing, like I said, is do you want me to go to Lanark's meeting next weekend for what? I can get on the agenda for next week to open a discussion. I just don't know what I'd be asking for, I suppose.
If we had a chief, I'd love to see him work better together.
And I understand
I
that,
mean-
but obviously we don't know if that's.
No.
So I can go ask to see if there's anything on the table there or worth discussing, but
I think at this point that would be, I don't think it's the right time. I think if we,
Unless you're gonna ask him to send somebody over a couple hours a day
right now,
and just bill us by the
I have to
hour.
enter into some agreement for that to give.
Well, there's no doubt about it, but see if they'd even entertain that in the interim. If that makes any sense.
Well, is
Sure,
is
if a call
one of
came
our
in and they got
part-timers from Lanark, right?
Dispatcher said there's an incident
no?
in Shannon, they would
One of
respond.
One of our
but
part-timers is from
What would
Lanark,
they
right?
do for 2 hours?
Or am I wrong? No,
I don't think
okay.
so.
I thought, okay.
I thought one was from, our
Mount
two
Carroll
part-timers are
and
from Mount
Chadwick.
Carroll and Chadwick, yeah.
There might be more on the, our roster, but I don't think any of them are active, and Alexby is yelling at me because they need to be verified again and semi-annual or annual verification, so that's another thing a chief can take care of as well. So, all right, any other discussion on this tonight? I don't think there's much reason for me to go talk to Mayor Rogan right now
I mean-
and the board over there.
Outside of the contracting for a couple hours, and they just have to bill us, quite frankly.
Right.
Yeah.
It'd be by the hour thing.
I guess my thought in that is if we just want a couple hours coverage from their deputies, why wouldn't we just approach their deputies and ask them to work part-time for us?
Where we get ours from.
Well, in the interim while we,
Because then we have to file the paperwork, the work, I guess that paperwork.
well, if we're bringing the interim chief on to file for our other two part-time employees, what would be the difference?
Yeah, I agree. All right. Anyone else any questions I should be approaching the sheriff with? Like I said, I'll get the job posting up in the next few days. I'll give you guys the job description tomorrow so you can look over. Anything else?
The two people that you said had reached out to you, have you had a discussion with either of those?
I have not done that yet. I want to get the job posting up and then I will reach out to them.
Okay.
So I will be working on that. Okay. Last thing in closing comments, oh wait,
Yeah, I got a couple more updated levy information here.
and this isn't anything we have to do tonight, it's just talking about what we're
Just
doing.
kind of numbers are kind of where we need to look.
And for closing comments, while this is getting passed out, one of the solar providers reached out to me and said, even though the tax incentive lasts through next year, it's better to enter into a contract this year to secure savings. I reached out to other solar providers to see if that's true or not. If it is true, I'll have to push that up a few months. I had planned on collecting bids in February for the board to discuss whether it makes sense. You'd likely have to call a special meeting at the end of the year to discuss that specific issue, if in fact it makes sense to enter into a contract and if this board wants to do it by the end of the year. So just an update on that.
And if everybody had a chance to look at this, we've had some pretty wild, kind of wild swings, but if you look at particularly with the non-rate limited stuff, I mean, actually it's looking as though the liability insurance is going to be less than it was last year as opposed to considerably more. Our social security expense, well, more than the number I gave you at the last meeting, is going to be still less than last year, as is unemployment and Medicare. The village just historically never levied for workman's comp coverage. We can do so, so that's included right in the middle there. And if you look at the revised numbers, it would be, to take all that into account, it'd be just a tad over $171,000. And last year we got $149,683, so we would have to do a truth and taxation hearing. This is something that you can discuss or we can adopt at the next meeting, but these are just some kind of preliminary numbers as to what it would look like.
If we go with the 157, 167, then you don't have to have that hearing, is that correct?
Right.
Yeah.
And frankly, the way it works out, I mean, the difference is to levy for workman's comp insurance, which we've never done. And I'm assuming that must have gone up significantly because there's never even really been any discussion in all the time as to what it costs. So, but I mean, $12,000 is definitely
And the audit.
significant. And the audit's gone up substantially too, or is going to.
Continue to rise. All right, so, this is just numbers for next meeting for us to
Yeah.
consider. Are we passing it at the next meeting?
Yeah, the next meeting, they have to adopt some numbers because they'll have to publish a notice prior to, a truth and taxation notice prior to the December meeting, and hold the truth and taxation hearing at, usually it's always been traditionally done at 6:45, 15 minutes before the regular meeting for public comment, and then the actual levy ordinance gets passed as part of the regular meeting.
So it would be 5:45, I'm assuming.
So those are just numbers.
Or 5:45, yeah.
We've had them before. I mean,
Yeah, no, I realize that. I was just.
Numbers to look over for next meeting as well.
$12,000 freed up.
Any other comments for agenda for next meeting? Anything that needs to be added? Anything else before we adjourn? All right, 1 hour, 3 minutes.
All right, we have a motion to adjourn.
Yes.
And second.
Any opposed?
Nope.
Good stay.
So adjourned.
You get anything on that